I am Matěj Skalický and this is Czech radio news podcast Vinohradská 12. He faces Russian attacks and scrutiny over ties with the Ukrainian president. Mayor of Kyiv Vitali Klitschko, today's special guest on Vinohradská 12. How does he protect Kyiv residents? Is it fair to hold spring elections? And why is he not in contact with Volodymyr Zelensky? It's Saturday, January 20th. Vitali, thank you very much for joining us on this podcast. Hello.
Great to talk to you.
Kyiv has been facing massive Russian missile attacks in recent weeks. Did you expect that it would happen again? That Russia will start bombing the Ukrainian capital again?
Definitely from beginning the war, Kyiv was target of Russians and still target of Russians' missiles and Russian politics because capital of Ukraine, the heart of the country, and that's why the Russians try to destroy our infrastructure, try to destroy the normal life in our hometown, try to bring a depressive mood to our citizens. I doesn't have another explanation. Where is the reason destroyed the normal life? To leave people freezing during the winter, to live without water, electricity. And last winter was most difficult winter ever because we have huge deficit of energy, more than 60% deficit. And that's why we first time in our history stopped public transportation, electric public transportation, our subway, trains. But in this year it's a little bit better because we have anti-missile system, modern anti-missile system from our partners, but Kyiv was and still the target. And right now, during this moment, air alarm. It's alarm right now. It's everyone have to go to the shelters because any second the Russian missiles can destroy normal peaceful life in our hometown.
Can you continue in the interview with the air raids right now?
Yeah, I can continue the interview. Yeah.
All right. It seems that finding a perfect defense against the attacks is almost impossible. I read a few months ago that an audit found that only 15% of 4,600 bomb shelters in Kyiv are usable. Has the situation improved?
To be honest, it's nobody from us expect the war in present time, and we doesn't have a lot of shelters. And right now, the Kyiv, the population in Kyiv in last couple of years growing up, and right now in Kyiv, before the war, the population in our hometown was 3.8 million people. Right now, a little bit less, but 3.5 million people. The city is full, and to be honest, we have not enough shelters in our hometown. We do it and providing right now, make a renovation and build a new one.
Do you believe that Ukraine could find a way to prevent similar attacks?
The anti-missile system help us so much, and actually last attacks in a couple of months we shoot down almost every missiles and kamikaze drone which fly to direction our hometown. Thank you for our partners, thank you for modern anti-missile system, and right now the life of our citizens more protect than before, but the risk still there.
Would you say that the deadlock on the front lines somehow contributes to the effects on Kyiv?
Yes, of course. I told Kyiv is heart of the country, and from stable situation in heart of the country in capital depend the stable situation in the whole country, and that's why the Kyiv was main target and still main target of Russians.
Vitali, I read your recent interview with Der Spiegel. You mentioned in this interview that Ukraine is moving towards authoritarianism. Can you tell me how?
One more, I want to explain the reason of this war, the senseless war. Putin never accepted Ukraine as independent country. Putin never accepted our wish to be the part of European family. Putin sees Ukraine as part of Russian Federation. We don't want to live in authoritarianism. We're fighting for our democratic future. We want to be the part of European family and part of democratic world. We're fighting for that. And I understand right now the war is very unusual situation, but during the war we have to save our democratic values. And if we see everything centralized, we understand it's very unusual situation during war, but it's very important to save democratic values what we have in our homeland. We see right now everything centralized. We see the centralized media, we see how unfair attack to self-government, and that's why to be quiet, not talk about that, it's mean to be agree with that. I don't want to sit and wait. That's why if the movement is not right way, I definitely say about that. It's advice to central government not to do a mistake. It's the main goal to us to build democratic country, and for that we're fighting right now and pay huge price, lives of our citizens, lives of our patriots.
And I understand that there is a desire and inclination towards democratic Europe, but how strong is the risk of transitioning to an authoritarian regime?
A risk always there, and it's very important to never make mistakes and always fix some problems, and that's why the main criteria, we want to be the part of democratic world, and that's why democratic values what we have to be priority for our homeland if we want to be the part of a European democratic family.
Has the president called you regarding your remarks? Such criticism might seem quite severe. So could this be a problem in wartime?
Sometimes the central government very unhappy, as I am by myself, to take the criticism as help, to show you weak side, to advise to be the better. And it's very important, don't do mistakes. It's very important to unity around the country. And we see right now the political competition during the war inside the country can destroy the country from inside. And that's why our unity inside the country, our unity around Ukraine is a key for peace and freedom in Europe and peace and freedom in our homeland. And that's why it's very important. But in still beginning the war, doesn't have a contact to office of president.
So you are not in contact with him?
I'm not in contact with them. It's not just me, it's whole self-government in Ukraine, I mean.
Isn't it a problem not being in contact? As a mayor of Kyiv, as a mayor of the capital, with the president of a country in a wartime, to just not be in a contact?
It's actually, I do it my job regarding the services in our hometown, regarding whole challenges what we have. It's will be very helpful to unite. Will be very helpful to communicate because whole challenges what we have is challenges not just for our hometown, it's a challenge for our homeland. And I do it my job what I can, but with help of central government will be much more effective. But ambition of some people sometimes is much more important than the interests of the countries. I guess it's mistakes.
You have warned against disunity, if I understood it right. So do you think that there is a risk that the lack of communication since the beginning of the war might convey a sense of disunity and play into Russian hands?
Yes, of course. The unity, as I told, unity inside the country, it's the key for peace and freedom. And that's why we need unity. We have to work all together. And some political games right now during the war, it's the biggest mistake. Some people make his political ambitions as priority. And right now the question of the country, future of the country, we still still independent Ukraine or the huge risk right now to be occupied from Russian Federation. And that's why the unity is very critical, important. Unity. We have to forget about the political flags. We have to unite it around one flag, yellow, blue, Ukrainian flag. Every political forces, you have to be united. Forget about ambition. Forget about political parties. Right now, the one party, Ukraine, united Ukraine, independent Ukraine. We have to save Ukraine. And that's why I don't want to to talk about political games. This will be the biggest mistake what we can do it.
In the beginning of our interview, you thanked your partners. Maybe a possible disunity can discourage your partners from sending you more weapons. Aren't you afraid of that?
Defensive weapons. We need defensive weapons because defenses, I make attention, defenses because we defend our homeland. And it's a lot of depend from help of our partners. And to be honest, without the help of our partners, we can survive. And that's why will to win is very important. We Ukrainians actually surprise whole world with our unbroken steel, it's our spirit, warrior spirit, but modern weapons are also very important for that. It's that's why we are very thankful for support of Ukraine with defensive weapons. And for the question, it's enough or not, I told it's not enough. Enough we can tell just in one moment when peace coming back to our homeland. It's mean enough to send the weapons. We need the weapons in Ukraine to defending our homeland, first point, and everyone in Europe have to understand. We're defending not just our homes and our families. We're defending every one of you because Putin goes so far as we are allowed to go, and not the secret. Putin have crazy idea to rebuild Soviet empire. They talking about Ukraine, it's never was independent. They talking about the Baltic countries was part of Russia. They talk about Slovakia, Czechia, and I tell the German audience because I spent in Germany many years. Please never forget, big part of Germany was also the part of Soviet empire where Putin working as KGB agent years long. And that's why please never underestimate the risk what we have in Europe. And we right now defending not just our homeland, we defending every one of you, and everyone have to understand it clearly.
President Zelensky's wife, Olena Zelenska, said on BBC that you should mind your own business. Critics suggest that you struggle to manage Kiev. Besides the air raids and the missile attacks, how is Kiev doing right now?
From beginning the war, we never have front line in our hometown. But from kamikaze drone and Russian missiles destroyed more than 800 buildings. 450 apartments building in our town was destroyed. More than 200 people, I'm talking about civilians, was killed from Russian missiles, and 7 children. And it's genocide, it's terrorism, what Russians do it with our hometown.
The criticism has been directed as well at the infrastructure, for example. And as far as I know, Prague, as the capital of the Czech Republic, sent some substantial material aid to Kiev, including some old trams, buses, etc. So did it prove helpful, or is it more needed? Would you consider visiting Prague in order to negotiate further help?
We're talking about defensive weapons, it's very important, and also resistance is our next challenge, and that's why we're very thankful for electric generators, what we received from our partners last winter. We're very thankful for buses, for communal transportation, what we received, for the help, for many aids what we receive from our partners. It's critical, important, life important for us, and that's why I never will be tired to tell 1,000 times, thank you for everyone who helped Ukraine. And we still needed that. We have to be strong in the front line, we have to be strong inside the country, we have to be strong outside of the country, I mean our politics, and we have to be united. You have to be united with central government, local government. We have to be united with every parties, because right now the question, Ukraine survive or not.
Is Ukraine united in the question of the responsibility of holding presidential elections in the spring?
Any election, any political election during the war, it's poison for the country. It's political competition. It's always populism. It's always in every country. Sometimes it's not fair game, and that's why election. So long we have a war in our country, and competition during the war, political competition during the war, can destroy the country from inside, and that's why it's a poison. Election, the poison. We have to have patience, and my personal opinion, it's no election during the war.
But there is a political competition in Ukraine right now, so isn't it fair to have an election and we will see?
I told about that. It's political competition during the war. It's very bad for the country.
Okay, so you agree with President Zelensky that it's not possible to have an election in March right now, and we will see maybe in the future, in fall, next year, we will see.
I guess this will be very objective and have sense when war will be stopped, and just it will be time for election. Right now, it's not secret, almost 9 million Ukrainians outside of the country, a lot of refugees. Also, exactly the same numbers right now, people who moved, refugees inside the country, and also big part of our citizens right now with military uniform, with a weapon, fighting the front line. And if we are talking about election, we equal opportunities to everyone. And the question for the soldier who is the front line, the question for observers, the question how we counted our citizens outside the country, we have much more question than answers. And also I talk about political competition inside the country. And that's why my personal opinion, and a lot of experts talking exactly the same voice, first of all, peace back to Ukraine, and after that we can talk about election.
No matter when the election will be, would you consider running?
It's no reason to talk about election. Right now the question, we survive or not. Some political ambition, it's very bad if political ambition of politics will have priority of interest of the country. Forget about personal ambitions. The interest of the country have priority. Point.
What do regular Ukrainians need to hear most at this moment?
Endurance is very important. I understand right now a lot of people tired from the war. It's a lot of everyone in Ukraine have a dream to coming back to peaceful life, and the wish of everyone, the peace, have to come back to our homeland. It's very important, but also very important to have endurance. It's very important to have conditions. It's very important to still strong. And the main question, we hope in this year, 2024, peace coming back to our homeland. But it's very important to be strong. Yes, of course, it's difficult situation, but please, from my personal view, I spent a lot of time in, I have sport background, and sometimes it's around number 7, 8, 9, you're very tight, but you never forget the opponent across of you have not better, sometimes worse situation. And can you imagine one of the powerful person in Russian Federation go to North Korea to asking about weapons, and also some signal the Russians have not easy situation with that. And I'm more than sure it's one of the day, it's more and more voices in Russia have to give the question to Putin and give the question to government. For which reason? The world brands left Russia, world companies left Russia. For which reason the Iron Curtain coming back? For which reason the Russians not anymore welcome around the world? And the main question, for which reason died my son, my husband, my relatives? And I'm more than sure this question Putin will receive very soon. But right now we have to be strong and defending our homes, our families.
Vitali, I really appreciate all your answers. Thank you very much for your time and good luck.
I want to say thank you very much for Czech Republic. I know so many refugees from Ukraine right now in Czech Republic. I know how Czech Republic support Ukraine in any direction, and we very appreciate for that. And thank you for everyone who support Ukraine. Please don't forget, we defending right now not just our homes. We defending every one of you, and we very appreciate and never forget your solidarity. Thank you for that.
And thank you for your words. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And that's all for today. I spoke to Vitali Klitschko, the mayor of Kyiv. I will add one clarification. Vitali spoke about 9 million Ukrainians abroad and millions more internally displaced people. The Ukrainian Ministry of Foreign Affairs reports slightly over 8 million people abroad, while the Ministry of Social Affairs estimates around 5 million internally displaced people. Authorities published these figures in July 2023 in response to an inquiry from the Ukrainian civil network Opora. Thank you for listening.